Hello, I'm Adam Sparks, Vanderbilt beat reporter with Tennessean here at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where Vanderbilt got its first SEC win, 45-31. That keeps Vanderbilt in bowl contention. They have 3 games remaining. If they win 2, they'll get to a bowl for the first time since 2016. Just left the post-game press conference, and there's one theme I kind of picked up on and wanted to talk a little bit about. Derek Mason was very complimentary of Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, and the offensive staff in this one. The big reason is the use of Ke'Shawn Vaughn. Any Vanderbilt fan has been wanting to see this season what Ke'Shawn Vaughn showed today. 26 carries. It's the most he's ever had, including his time back at Illinois. 24 carries, I believe, was his high there. 172 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ke'Shawn Vaughn, former Pearl Cone standout, was the obvious factor in today's win. A lot of Vanderbilt fans and myself also have been critical to some extent about Vanderbilt's use or lack thereof of Ke'Shawn Vaughn. They used him more today, and so I think there's 2 questions here. Number one, why has Ke'Shawn Vaughn not been used as much so far? And number 2, can he be used to this extent in the future in the remaining 3 games? Again, they have to win 2 to get to a bowl game. The first one first, why has Vandy not used him so far? Well, there's a few factors in there. Number one, I think we need to squeeze this down to when Ke'Shawn Vaughn could have been used and wasn't. Early in the season, the first couple of games didn't get many carries. I think that was reasonable because he was coming off a year where he set out after a transfer from Illinois. There's supposed to be a 3-back system with him, Jamari Wakefield, and Kari Blasingame. So the first couple games, both Vanderbilt wins, you could see why Ke'Shawn Vaughn was not used. Later, the Florida game, he was supposed to be the feature back, got early carries, could not finish it off because of an injury, would have been used more there, and set out last week in the loss against Kentucky. So really you're talking about squeezed down about 3 or 4 games where Ke'Shawn Vaughn probably should have been used more and was not. I think a Vanderbilt fan has to look at it and say, what difference would he have made? South Carolina game, I think maybe he makes a difference. Notre Dame, Vanderbilt actually had to come back in that game throwing the ball, so not sure if it makes that much difference. I guess what I'm saying is that Ke'Shawn Vaughn's use should have been more during the season, but does it make that much difference in the record for Vanderbilt? Probably not. Maybe 1 game, maybe no games. I'll actually break down this a little more in a story at Tennessean.com. Maybe tonight or tomorrow, and you can check that out when I break down the numbers a little bit more. May even disagree with myself by then. But moving forward, can Ke'Shawn Vaughn be this feature back, this bell cow in the next 3 games? Well, first off, he has fresh legs. He was off for about 10 days coming into this one because of the injury, and Vandy goes into a bye week. And Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Vandy can maybe reasonably run the ball against all 3 of those opponents. And so we could see a Ke'Shawn Vaughn that's getting about 20 carries in each of those games. If he does, I think Vanderbilt's offense looks quite different. Derek Mason, after he complimented Andy Ludwig and the offensive staff, he jumped right back and said, we needed this win in the worst way, which I would agree with him on that. But he emphatically said, our kids, our players, won this football game. He wanted, as he usually does, wanting praise going to the players rather than the coaches. But Andy Ludwig, he was complimentary of him, and there's been a lot of criticism headed towards Andy Ludwig's way this year over play calling. He was complimentary of him mostly because of how he mixed up the calls early in the game. With Ke'Shawn Vaughn in there getting a lot of carries, they also brought in Javion Marlowe, a freshman. They used him in a number of different ways. Went in motion, had a couple good carries. Kari Blasingame had a couple of screen passes. Jared Pinckney got involved a whole lot in the screen game and in other ways. Mo Hassan, the dual threat quarterback who's a backup, came in and ran the ball a couple of times for Kyle Sherber. It was obvious that there was a variety to the play calling. And Derek Mason said that was pressed a little bit this week. Try to get a lot of different guys involved. And, usually offensive coordinators come in with about a 15-play script. Vandy had a lot of variety in its first 15 plays. They actually scored a touchdown on the 16th play, but they didn't go too vanilla after that. They kept enough guys involved, and a big game overall for the offense. They also scored 2 touchdowns off of turnovers, the second game in a row that Vandy has scored converted turnovers off touchdowns. 442 total yards. 250 rushing, 192 passing. Really good balance there. We'll see if they can keep it up. But going into the bye week, Vandy in a much better shape, 4-5. Again, 2 more wins and they can get to a bowl game. It's reasonable that they could do that. From Fayetteville, Arkansas, I'm Adam Sparks. Read my coverage at Tennessean.com and follow me on Twitter at Adam Sparks.